What's going on, guys? Apathetic here, and today I'm going to discuss why I think Spectral Blades, yes, Spectral Blades is one of the most balanced supers in the game, and why I think it could be a good standard for supers going forward. Let's get into it. Let me start by saying this isn't meant to be a video about how broken supers are, but more about how I feel Spectral is a good baseline for supers going forward. And I know Bungie is already going to address supers hopefully later this year in Shadowkeep, but this is just my take for the season of Opulence and the current state of supers. Getting into why I think Spectral is the most balanced, a lot of it is tied to the health and damage resistance of the super. No one can argue that before the most recent nerf to Spectral that was just way too strong, you could almost never kill someone in Spectral Blades. The duration, along with Gemini Jester, was crazy, and to compound all of that, the super allows you to go invisible and disappear from your enemy's radar, giving you that additional element of surprise and have a better chance of closing the gap on your enemies without being touched in some circumstances. Fast forward to now, and it's a very different story for Spectral Blades. The damage resistance in super isn't nearly what it was. The duration of the super has been toned down a lot as well, and that's the two key things I want to focus on, because right now in the Crucible, supers are running rampant. This shouldn't be news to anyone who's played any Crucible lately, and a big part of that is because of how long certain supers last. I'm looking at you, Bottom Tree Striker and Bottom Tree Dawnblade, and then pairing that lethality with the damage resistance these supers have, or even sometimes health regen, and that's where we have the real problem. When you see a Bottom Tree Striker or Bottom Tree Dawnblade, the smart reaction isn't to fight, it's to run, and that's an issue. There needs to be a certain level of counterplay against supers, and that's where I feel Spectral Blades hits a pretty good balance. Spectral Blades in its current state actually requires some thought when deciding when to pop your super. Since the damage resistance has been lowered, it has become one of the easier supers to team shot or kill if your enemy uses it poorly. What I mean by using it poorly is someone's just running headfirst into your spawn. They don't care how many enemies there are. They don't care if they have cover or not when they pop their super, and they can be killed almost instantly from being team shotted. Flip side of that to Dawnblade or Bottom Tree Striker, and you can literally do the exact same thing and not only probably wipe the entire team, but then proceed to make your way to the other side of the spawn and possibly wipe a majority of the team again. Spectral Blades is a nice balance of super duration and damage resistance, because when I'm using Spectral, I have to take into account the amount of distance between my opponents, how many they are, how spread out they are. I actually have to make a calculated decision on when to pop a super or risk getting straight up killed out of it. There is actual risk involved when popping Spectral Blades that other supers I mentioned earlier don't really have to worry about. The other piece is the duration of the super overall, I feel, is in a good spot, because again, you have to pop it at the right time. And if you pop it too early, people actually have a chance to get away. And as we know with Spectral, the more you swing, the faster your super goes away. So now I have to think, do I want to take these extra couple swings and risk losing my super, or let this guy go and try repositioning myself, or do I back away so I don't land in front of their entire team as my super ends? Again, I can't just mindlessly chase enemies anymore, because if I do, the effectiveness of the super is diminished. Lastly, guys, the reason I feel the super is one of the more balanced is because yes, the duration has been toned down. Yes, it's easier to get team shotted in, but the big thing is this super is still lethal in the right hands. Because of this, because of the super's ability to go invisible, if you're being tactful with it, you can actually sneak up on the opposing team, and when popping in the right scenario, the attacks are relatively fast and allows you to kill multiple enemies at once within a short time of each other. That's why I personally, when thinking about supers and like what's a good balance, I chose Spectral over other supers that are also fairly balanced, because other supers may be very lethal, but either they have too high or too low of damage resistance. So another very lethal super, Golden Gun, really great for taking out a bunch of enemies very quickly. But I feel that super, when you pop your super, you're almost like too squishy. Feels like there's almost zero to no damage resistance when in Golden Gun. So for me, that isn't really balanced. I'm popping my super and I can only just get headshotted right out of it. But I think Spectral is a nice balance of what we could expect out of a super, purely from the standpoint of being able to counterplay against it, so team shot it or run away, and lethality. Lethality again tying into, if I pop this super in the right scenario, I have good game awareness, good situational awareness of what's going on, and I pop this super, I'm gonna reap the benefits. I actually have to think about when I'm gonna pop my super in relation to the distance from my enemies, my health, and take in all these things into account to make an educated decision on when is the best time to pop my super. And again, not saying that other supers aren't balanced. I know a lot, my friend Habano was talking about Storm Trance. Storm Trance is another super I feel like is in a pretty good spot as well in terms of damage resistance versus lethality. But let me know in the comments what super you guys feel is the most balanced and why. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you enjoy, like and subscribe, as it's a free way to support me, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.
Guardian. Hunters like you blaze a path for the rest. Impressive, Guardian. You have an instinct for battle. Perfect. Perfect. Perfect.